So the Springboks have just got themselves the win over Georgia, 55 points to 10, in a match that did consist of 10 tries scored throughout the 80 minutes, and the first of those tries was scored by Georgia, something that not many people were anticipating, but the Georgians came out firing. The Springboks, they then took control back, but overall an extremely physical outing between these two sides, which is exactly what you'd normally expect from Georgia as well as the Boks. But in this review, we'll be looking through at the try scorers. We'll be looking at who performed, who maybe didn't quite step up to the level that people wanted to see. And nonetheless, we will jump straight into it. First of all, for South Africa, there was the early try of Boan Venter. He was on international debut for this match alongside the other two in the front row, Manus van der Merwe and also Nedeling Forshare. Now, Manus van der Merwe found a lot of success early when it came to those lineouts. The rolling maul was doing the job for the Boks, so he managed himself 2 tries on international debut. So a massive congratulations to that man. Of course, we also saw tries being scored by Kanan Moody, Edwald van der Merwe. He managed to get himself 2 throughout the second half. Damian Willemse, Kurt Liarense in the 78th, just when it looked like maybe he wasn't going to get himself 1 for the game. And then Andre Pollard to close it out with a bit of that flair at the end of the contest. I know that one of the biggest talking points from this matchup was possibly the kicking tee. We saw Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu only kicking in, I believe, 20% by the end of this contest. He was not enjoying the kicks on the right-hand side of the field. Left-hand side, I would have loved to see, but everything was the right, where he was sitting 1 from 5 off of the tee. In terms of what happened after he made his way off, though, Pollard did take control of that back line. We saw a little bit of a burst from Faf de Klerk up until he got taken off for Grant Williams. I think that was down to an HIA of de Klerk, but you could see the aggression there from Faf. He seemed like a guy that felt like he had lost his number 1 halfback spot. And honestly, the way that Grant Williams came back on, as well as starting in this game, it's probably hard to argue at this point in time. In terms of their backline, we saw once again some great work from Edwald van der Merwe under the high ball. Kanan Moody was impressive at times in that number 13 jersey. Cobus Fieser at 8. It was a bit of an interesting one because he had some pretty good moments with the ball in hand, but he did also have quite a few errors. But perhaps that was just down to getting used to that new position. Ruan Nokia, he got himself man of the match, was extremely strong when it came to his running game as well as the lineouts, physicality in the breakdown, and thoroughly did deserve to get their man of the match award. Pieter-Steph du Toit, the man is an absolute workhorse, and he was trying everything he could to get that ball on the side of the box. And this type of game, I do think, is exactly what Pieter-Steph du Toit needed heading into the Rugby Championship, because of course returning from injury for his first game last week up against the Italians, and maybe it wasn't quite as aggressive and physical of an outing as Pieter-Steph would have liked, but I can guarantee you right now he'll have a few sore muscles for tomorrow, because Georgia did bring their A game and they were extremely strong throughout this match. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can you call a side that lost by 45 extremely strong? But we've got to remember where Georgia are in the overall world rankings. They are down in 12th or 11th, I believe. And South Africa were always expected to do well in this contest. Something that was not anticipated, though, was the mass amount of penalties that the Boks would concede throughout this matchup. Same with the handling errors. They actually reached over 10 handling errors throughout the 80 minutes, but that could be down to maybe the readjustments, the bit of a shuffle in terms of who is out there on the field, or maybe just tactically making a few mistakes. I don't think we can take this game too serious, though, in terms of this is what we're going to see from the Springboks in the Rugby Championship. There is still plenty of time, and I do think that Rassie will adjust accordingly heading into those matches up against the Wallabies. For the Georgians, in terms of the players who did step up, I felt like Ninashvili we didn't actually see as much as I was first anticipating. In the number 9 jersey, Lobhardnidze, he played for the full 80 and just would not go down. He took some huge hits, but he was finding a bit of space to be able to help his side out. And also, like I mentioned, that try scorer in the earlier stages of the contest for the Georgians, that was also off a rolling maul, similar to how we saw Manus van der Merwe score his tries. And Kakadze was the man who did score first in this match. Sadly for Georgia, though, it was the only time that we did see them score a try in that 4-pack. Some good physicality shown by Georgia, as you would always expect when heading into this game. Scrums were competitive, which I think was another exciting aspect of this contest because, yes, like I said, the scoreline wasn't expected to be close, but Georgia brought the fight, and I think that is a lot more beneficial for South Africa as they head towards the Rugby Championship. That second game up against the Italians, it seemed like Italy were a bit flat, but you'd have to argue that Georgia, even though they did lose by a bigger margin than they did the last time these two sides played, where it was 41 points to 9 back in 2021, I do think that Georgia played so much better in this fixture, and if it wasn't for a couple mistakes, could have found one or two more tries out there on the park. South Africa, though, they are going to be a threat in this Rugby Championship comp. They have got the depth for days. They've got a mastermind in the coaching box, and I cannot wait to see what is next for the Boks. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in to the short review. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who you thought were the standouts for the South Africans as well as the Georgians in the comments down below. But thanks all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.